Republican civil war over Nikki Haley entered a new phase. She's now ahead of Ron DeSantis in national polling. And that, well, concerns a lot of Trump supporters. Just take a listen to South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem last night when asked about Trump picking Haley as his running mate.
You know, I've had a lot of disagreements with Nikki Haley over the years, and I just don't know which Nikki Haley is going to show up every day. She's a different person depending on whatever works for her political agenda.
All right, with us now, Lauren Wright, professor of political science at Princeton University and host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast, syndicated radio show Chris Hahn, NewsNation political contributor as well. All right, Chris, we read your titles, therefore the segment is over. We got 3 titles in here, man. We got to cut this down. Lauren, to you first.
You only got to use one. It's fine.
Chris
okay,
is
well,
too qualified.
Yeah, Lauren, to you first. Help me understand. Why is Nikki Haley, and we did talk about this a little bit last night, but I think it's important to understand, why is Nikki Haley so threatening, not as a challenger to Donald Trump, but as a VP pick for Donald Trump?
Well, perhaps she's threatening to the other people who want to be VP, like Noem, but I don't think it'll be either of them. Trump will be a very interesting watch because it's a question of, does he pick someone who's loyal, like Kristi Noem, who has all of his same positions and loves him and supports him no matter what, or someone like Nikki Haley who brings balance and a big state where he needs some help right now?
Chris Hahn, to you, you've said all along that Democrats should be terrified of Nikki Haley. She's now at 30% in New Hampshire. She has momentum. She's catching fire. Are Democrats starting to talk about what if it's not Donald Trump as the nominee?
If it's not Donald Trump and it's Nikki Haley, Democrats are going to have a problem if Joe Biden is still the nominee. Nikki Haley matches up incredibly well against Joe Biden, even with the gaffe she did last week. She will be somebody who is very hard to call crazy, but I agree with Lauren. Neither one of these two are going to be the VP nominee. They don't bring enough to the ticket. They don't help him win a swing state. I think your pal Glenn Youngkin is more likely to be a VP nominee who might help him win a state like Virginia or somebody who could help him win somewhere else. But no, I am very concerned if Nikki Haley becomes the nominee. I'm not concerned if she becomes the VP.
Lauren, take us through this in terms of, we've seen the presumptive nominee fall quickly. You know, we saw it with Jeb Bush, for example, in 2016. We've seen it happen. We saw it with Hillary Clinton in 2008. Barack Obama came from behind in Iowa and then became the nominee. Is there anything we're seeing in the momentum that Nikki Haley's getting that tells us that this could be one of these years that the conventional wisdom gets turned on its head?
Never say never, but the gap to me is simply too large. And let's not forget, Trump started ahead of Jeb Bush, even in the summer of 2015. And so he's really someone who was dominant, continues to be. And if Republicans really wanted any realistic shot at this, they should have coalesced behind someone who could bring more moderates, which is a little bit like what Chris just said.
Yeah, the idea in New Hampshire, right, is that there's a possibility that you're going to get some moderates, some independents, some even conservative Democrats who are going to hop in because of the open primary and vote for Nikki Haley. Yep. Where do you see the where's the arc of this story going, Chris? In terms of when all of a sudden does it go from, is Nikki Haley a threat, to Nikki Haley actually being a threat to Donald Trump?
If Donald Trump is not above 50% in Iowa, watch the die turn, especially in the national coverage. Right now, the expectations for Trump are very high. And when you're in politics, you want to manage expectations. His expectations right now is he's going to trounce everybody in Iowa and New Hampshire. If he is under 50 in Iowa, he's going to lose New Hampshire. And if he loses New Hampshire, game on in South Carolina and the rest of the country, because he will no longer seem inevitable, and the expectations he set for himself will have been smashed.
Yeah, if Yeah, if Donald Trump loses New Hampshire, we're all going to be spending a lot of time in South Carolina this February. Good to see both of you. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.